Hey guys, welcome back. We've just had the World Cup draw. It's been a rather interesting one. At first glance, it seems like a very good draw for the Springboks. Italy, Georgia, Romania. They played Italy three times this year. Won all three relatively comfortably. They played Georgia as well, and they won that relatively comfortably as well. And Romania shouldn't give them such a hard time. But, but then you get to the point where you look at the rest of the draw and they go into a round of 16 quarterfinal, a round of 16 playoff game, and then straight after that into a quarterfinal where they on a collision course with the All Blacks. So it's a bit of a nightmare scenario for somebody. Not sure the Boks will be too concerned. World Cups, things can happen, anything can happen, of course. But I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to play the All Blacks in a quarterfinal. Of course, the last time they played the All Blacks in a quarterfinal in 2003, remember how that left. The Springbok team is a very different team nowadays, and very different space as well. The fact that they put up on a record victory over the All Blacks earlier this year in Wellington probably give them a lot of confidence. And I think if anybody's probably dreading it, it's probably Scott Robertson and the All Blacks, and probably the New Zealand public, because that's a hell of a big game for quarterfinal. The two finalists from 2023 on a collision course in the quarterfinal. And what it means as well, it means that France are on the same part of the group, the same half of the draw as well. And England, Ireland, Argentina on the other half of the draw. So if you go on form at the moment, you'd probably say England are probably on the collision course to go to the final. If you think three of the four Southern Hemisphere teams on the same side of the draw as well, Australia and New Zealand in the same pool. Let's start there. That's an interesting one. It gives the World Cup organisers a great opening game. I'm not sure Australia would want that precisely, but if there's ever a game you're going to get yourself up for, it's probably that game. So that's pretty decent for them. Of course, when New Zealand are favoured to win, and I'm talking now, a lot of things can happen in the World Cup, but I'm talking about obviously if it goes according to seeding. And if it does go according to seeding, it's going to be a very, very interesting World Cup, because then the Springboks play the All Blacks in the quarterfinal. They play France in the semi-final. So it's another potential really tough road. But if you want to win 3 World Cups in a row, you're going to have to probably go that road in any case. Just looking at some of the pools there. Obviously, New Zealand, Australia, and Pool A. I'll put the pools up here for you guys to have a look at while I'm talking. Pool A: New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, China, and Chile. The other two teams aren't really going to be putting any sort of pressure on the other two. I think they'll use them as good warm-up games. But yeah, good for them to make the World Cup. And then in Pool B is obviously Springboks. And at first glance, before I looked and I realised the quarter-final draw, I thought this was a pretty good momentum-building pool for the Springboks, because what you'd have is, you'd have some good games. Italy are by no means slouches, and they did test the Springboks, although they did win 14 men in Italy this last a couple of weeks ago, and they won the 2 tests. But the test against Loftus, Italy certainly tested the Springboks, so that'll be another good test. Georgia will bring their own sort of challenges as well, and the Springboks can really sort of fine-tune their game plan there. Romania, I don't think you'll see the rest of the squad getting a run there. Boks shouldn't be troubled too much by them. So that's Pool B. Then let's Pool C. I'm going to have to get my phone out here. Pool C is an interesting one. Argentina, Fiji, Spain, and Canada. Now, I don't expect anyone to really trouble Argentina in that pool. Could be the Argentina-Spain game could be quite highly charged, so to speak. But I don't think they'll trouble Argentina. Argentina just too slick an outfit nowadays. Fiji as well. Fiji, if they get on a good run, they can trouble any team. But they haven't really got that consistency lately. And so, yeah, they're also a team that suffers a few shocks at the World Cup as well. And they've been beaten by teams like Portugal before. So Spain will certainly see their chance there. Canada, I don't think the Canadians are as good as they used to be. Pool D: Ireland, Scotland, Uruguay, Portugal. This is a potential pool of death. I say potential because it depends what these teams bring to this pool, of course. Of course, Scotland will fancy their chances of beating Ireland, of course, as well. And Ireland don't seem to be the team that they were at the last World Cup. And they've also got this thing of never having gone past the quarterfinals of a World Cup. There'll be a lot of pressure on Andy Farrell's team as well. Gregor Townsend, a lot of pressure on him as well to perform at a World Cup if he's still coach as well. Certainly, Scotland have got some players. They can certainly run Ireland close, and on their day probably beat them as well. Then you look at that, Portugal were the darlings of the last World Cup. and they'll certainly want to cause a few shocks. They're a very passionate team, and they really play sort of above themselves, especially at the last World Cup in 2023. We saw that, and Uruguay have been one of the best improving teams in a long time, and we've seen them as well cause a few upsets in their time as well. So that should be interesting. I do expect Scotland and Ireland to progress from there. Pool E: France, Japan, USA, Samoa. Expect France to win that one quite easily. Japan will probably come second. Samoa aren't the team that they used to be, but if they can get themselves right before the World Cup, they certainly have players to trouble the other teams. And then Pool F: England, Wales, Tonga, and Zimbabwe. Well, Zimbabwe, first World Cup since 1991. We're obviously very glad that they're there, but don't expect them to trouble anybody. England and Wales. Wales might have to worry about Tonga, although I can't see them losing to Tonga, but anything is possible in Welsh rugby at the moment. Can't see them troubling England, though. England should walk that one quite easily. And then, if you look at the way the seedings go, that's going to be the interesting one. Somebody sent me this straight after the pool, and I'm going to go through it. I'm going to put it on the screen here. We could go across to the left-hand side. Round of 16, New Zealand, if it all goes well, New Zealand plays Spain. South Africa will play Portugal. That's the best third place runner-up. If it goes around that, or it would be one of them. But the point is, quarterfinals, New Zealand, South Africa. That's a big one. That's a huge one for the Springboks, a huge one for New Zealand. And one of last World Cup's two finalists is going home early, as it seems at the moment. Of course, you look further down, Fiji would probably play Wales on there. By this ranking, France would play Scotland. Fiji probably, they've beaten Wales a couple of times before, but that should be an interesting one. Let's say this goes with this sort of prediction that somebody sent me. France should beat Scotland, so then Fiji, France will win that. Semi-final of South Africa and France, and obviously if South Africa win that, they'll go to the final. You look across the other side, and of course Australia would play Japan in the round of 16. If Japan comes second, England would play Italy, which is, you can easily see Australia winning that one, England winning that one. Australia-England quarter-final, that should be an interesting one in Australia as well, but England at the moment seem to have all the momentum as well. You look at the bottom half of the draw, Argentina-Georgia, expect Argentina to probably win that one. Ireland-Samoa, expect Ireland to win that one. Argentina-Ireland is an interesting one because, in this prediction they've gone for Argentina, and I think Argentina can beat Ireland. I think it's going to be a very close game, but whoever wins that will go up against England probably in a semi-final, and then a final probably against the Springboks. That's the way it looks at the moment. A lot can change in 2 years, of course, and a lot can happen. But a very interesting draw and a very interesting way of looking at things, because the last World Cup really had us, where France had to play New Zealand in a pool game and South Africa had to play Ireland and Scotland in pool games. You're always going to have one tough game, but then you had to have either France or Ireland. At that stage were ranked higher than South Africa, in the top two in the world. Play them in the quarterfinals, so there's always seems to be somebody that gets that. Excuse the noise in the background, there's some construction work going on. But to play New Zealand, the All Blacks in the quarterfinal, it's not at all happy for me. I would have loved to see them meet in the final, but now it seems they're not likely to. Who's going to be the most happy about this draw? Probably England. England are probably the team that are the most happy. Probably France as well. Argentina will be very happy. They can see a way to the final for themselves as well. And so there's a lot going here. South Africa, New Zealand, not the best. Let me know your thoughts. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Be back a bit later with Nick and Gavin and Nick Mallet giving us his views on that as well. But for now, let me know your thoughts on the draw. Chat to you soon. Cheers.